So, let's see, we're live. Here we go. Hello, stream. Welcome. Oh, waiting. Okay. All right. There we go. Current viewers. That is immediate. Okay. And we got this going on here. So, welcome again. Hello, hello. And I realized at some point you can hear my computer. It's so loud that I'm wondering if I may end up start streaming on the once I get the Linux machine set up, which I guess I could do that sometime tomorrow. I've got a Linux desktop. I can maybe start streaming for the Linux box, Linux desktop. Stop using my laptop for all that much. Because the problem with the laptop is it's very loud, and you can hear it in the microphone, and it's not really good. And I was thinking I can get a noise canceling microphone or something, which is not a bad idea, but easier than that is just use another machine that's not extremely loud. Yeah, I imagine it's probably irritating for most people to hear this like constant, buzz. And I had been editing out that buzzing through like audio software, Audacity. You can actually noise reduce to get rid of that extra just. So anyway, so we have 3 more problems we're going to do before we're going to move on to the next thing. And I figure since there's only 3 of them left, we can do the medium problems. Clojure here. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'm thinking maybe we should do an extra 5 after we do these 3, possibly. But doing 3 more is fine. Okay, I think as well. I think it's okay. But yeah, we can do. Definitely can do more problems. Or we get more practice with Clojure. I'm not really sure how much more practice we really need, but it's more practice is not bad. I also realize these problems tend to be more about the solution than the actual programming language, which is sort of give or take. I mean, it's not bad to sort of practice for interviews anyway. So, given the time and numerals, we may convert it into words as shown below. So 5 o'clock, 5:01, 1 minute past 5, 10 minutes past 5, 15, quarter past 5, 30, half past 5, 40, 20 minutes to 6, quarter to 6, 13 minutes to 6, 28 minutes past 5. Okay. Add minutes equals 0, use o'clock. For between 1 and 30 minutes, use past, and for greater than 30 minutes, use to. So this is past 5 to 6, okay? Note the space between the apostrophe and clock. So you would say 2 and you would add 1. Now, what do we do for, is this military time? What do we do for like 12 o'clock? 12 or 13 or 1? Yeah, that's kind of interesting. I guess the AM, PM comes in here too as well. This is a medium. The space between the apostrophe and clock in o'clock. Write a program which prints the time in words for the input given in the format described, function description. Complete the time in words function in the editor below. It should return time string as described. Time in words has the following parameters: an integer representing hour of the day, an integer representing minutes after the hour. Okay. Input format first line contains h, the hours portion, second, the minutes portion. Oh wow, okay. This is pretty straightforward, I think. This is a medium. I feel like I could do this really fast. I'm going to eat those words, I think, but and these rules kind of describe the algorithm. So 15 minutes, obviously, you're going to use quarter. 30 minutes, you're going to use half. And then otherwise, otherwise it's going to be X minutes, 1 minute. 1 minute you change, you don't do minutes, you just do minute if it's 1. So that's a little bit different. And if you're looking at like you know 12:45 is a quarter to 1. You would, yeah, you're gonna take, I think, modulo. If you're going up to, if you're using 2 and 12, you're gonna go up to 1. You know, modulo 12. And I think that's all we really need. So first we determine if we're between 1 and 30 or greater than 30 for the minutes. Could also do some sanity checks here on the times to make sure they're in like expected range. You know, in Clojure that would be using the spec class. Although we're not going to do that here, I think we'll skip that for the time being. And so you take the hour and consider the hour. So you would use the hour plus 1 if it's 2. So if the minutes is larger than 30, you could actually increment the hour that we're going to use. And we can say how else are we going to do this? So we gather the hour, get the hour, get the minutes, then say if the minutes, so the special case for minutes being 0, 15, 30, or 45, right, that's when we use quarter, half, or no minutes at all, just o'clock. Can you put that into a hash map, I think? And then we can say or use a switch statement, maybe. Yeah, those are special cases. I'm not sure exactly how we'll handle the special cases. Then we can say if minutes is greater than 30, then we would use 2, so we would actually increment the hour to the right amount, and then actually also take that increment modulo 12 as well. And so if we're depending on this special case, so we can do the special case after, I think. If it's one of these special cases, which is 0, 15, 30, 45, then we could print out the result right then and there. We can actually define past or to also before this special case we consider. And if it's neither of those special cases, the default case can then be this x minutes and then past 2 and then whatever value. So this would be a variable, this would be a variable that we already determined. And this x is, now this is kind of interesting. That would be also a hash map of values to names, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So we could use another hash map for that. And finally, the minute and minutes. If it's 1, we're going to use minute. That's another special case. So yeah, we can make this a variable as well and just say if it's 1 minute, then this becomes minute. Otherwise, it becomes minutes. This string, some variable that's pointing to what this string is going to be. And then we can concatenate these. In these special cases, we would skip this all together. 5 o'clock. Yeah, so special forms for each of these. Quarter past, quarter to, half past. Those are so specific that we might as well just wrap all that up into a single switch statement of what to print. And then everything else we'll do this building of concatenation of the hour, 2 are past, which we already determined, minute or minutes we determined, and then which value we can determine as well. Preemptively determine each of these. Yeah, we can do that. Although I think these we'll throw this into a hash map right at the end there. So yeah, let's do this. Yeah, okay. So it's just a giant let statement, effectively, and shouldn't be too difficult. So let's start with this minute to minute or number num to string, which is going to be this hash map values, which will be all 1 to 60, I think, right? No. Oh yeah, that's another one, is the 22. That's kind of interesting. You have to take that difference as well in the minutes. And when we look up minutes, we have to know if we're going to. That also has to happen as well. Interesting. Okay. So anyway, so we can say 1 to 1. 2 is 2. 3 is 3. 4 is 4. 5. We could probably do this, I think. Yeah. Probably should, considering. 6, 6. 7, 7. 8, 8. 9, 9. 10, 10. 11, 11. 12. 13, 13. 14. 15. 15. 15, yeah. 16. 17. 18. 19. 20. Now we won't need 15 at all. And then 21. Typically that's how you write 21, right? Yeah, it's usually 21 with a dash. I think we can assume that. Just testing your English here. 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27. 27, 28, and 29. And we don't need 30. Okay. So we don't need 30, don't need 15, but we do need all of these in between. Alright, so we got this num to string set up, this hash map. Now we've got there's a few here we need to think about. So first things first, there's these special cases we'll consider. That's fine, we use a switch statement. So that's for 0, 15, and 30, 30 and 45. We'll say this will be, okay, we'll do it this way. We'll say hour. So we're going to say if minutes, which is m is greater than 30, then we want hour to be increment h, otherwise it's just h. And we're going to say, this is modulo 12 also, and then we're going to say, that's this hour. Also, so in this one if statement, I want to define a number of things, but I don't think that I can do it this way. I think I've got to return each one. I wonder if hopefully I can do something like this. I do like a multiple define, something like that. We'll have hour, we'll have, it's like 3 different things I want to do. This is past or to. So this is, what do they call that, participle, adverb, past to, direction, we'll call it. So there's an hour, there's a direction, and there's, we can do destructure in Clojure, right? I think we can. This is like a good example where I'd want to use destructuring. Yeah, we can. And especially in a binding. Oh, that's awesome. Nice. Nice. Okay, cool. So we have this hour, we have this direction, and we've got another one in here. The direction could be at the end, I guess. We want also there's a sequence here too in Clojure. There's something I saw with the sequence. This thing. Single quote form. Creates a set. This quotes. I think it's something special. That's not what we're looking for. Oh, okay, yeah. Why is this? This creates a sequence. If you quote it, if you quote this thing. That seems so strange to me, but yeah. I like refuse to accept it. I don't fully understand it. That's why. But apparently that's the case. You can use quote to create a sequence, which is what I want to do right now. That's why I'm looking at it, looking it up. Basically, I want to use a sequence of things like this, and then do, X, something like that, to return, entity structure. Anyway, so there's three things that change: past and to, and then you also change this value, the minutes. They change as well. And depending on past and to, the minutes go from right, like 47. You're not going to use 47. It's 13. It's 60 minus when you're looking at 2. So anyway, yeah, so you have three things that change. These are the hour, the minutes, and the direction. And so you're going to save the sequence of three things, which is the hour. And the minutes is going to be 60 minus m. And the direction is going to go to 2 instead of from. Yes, and then here, otherwise, your hour stays the same, minute stays the same, and then you're going to go from 13 from 5 past, excuse me, not from, past. 1 minute past 5. Past, yeah. And then finally we're going to say num to string. Could also say plural. Plural minutes is going to be if minutes equals 1. This comes after, right? Obviously you want to do this afterwards. So the minutes is 1, then this plural minutes is going to be minute. It's not plural, otherwise. Minutes. Got it. And so you've got a few pieces here. You've got this num to string of the minutes. And you've got this plural minutes. Then you've got this direction, to or past, and then you've got this hour. So plural minutes, direction, hour, I'm going to concatenate, and then with this num to string we can map, we can throw that in there of the minutes, right in there, we're ready. And finally, you've got to have this switch statement for the other cases for 0, 15, 30, and 45. Figure that one out. And that ought to do it. And that ought to do it. Which we'll just call this ret. And just return ret. And this is going to be a case statement. Now I think, yeah, okay. Let's do Clojure switch. Takes expression, set of clauses, test constant, result expression. Test constants are not evaluated, must be compile time literals, need not be quoted. The expression is equal to a test constant. Corresponding result expression is returned. Single default expression can follow the clause's value will be returned. No clause matches. Interesting. constant time dispatch. The clauses are not considered sequentially. Matter of constant expressions are acceptable in case. Okay, so this basically creates like a hash map. That's effectively what it does. These constant expressions though. Test constants. They don't need to be the same type, these things. That's kind of interesting. That's kind of wild. It doesn't need to be the same type. Could run through these case statements with multiple types. So we'll have a case, and we'll have E and clauses. My string and clauses. Okay. And this is going to be case of minutes. Right. It's actually not minutes. It's going to be M, which is going to be interesting. Right, because you'll have 15 from 45, so it's M stays. We haven't changed M, right? We still have M, which is kind of good. This is like when you have immutability becoming kind of useful. You haven't already overwritten that character. Haven't already overwritten that spot for that or that data you were using before, so you can use it again. So in the case that we're looking at 0. Then we want to have, we want to return 5 o'clock. So it's going to be hours o'clock. String of num to string. Of 0. No. 5. It's going to be num to string of the hour, H or even hour. It's 0. It's fine. And you're going to concatenate that with o'clock. Right? And does this have a space? It does. O'clock. Okay. And 15. Similar. Num to string. No, this time it's going to be quarter. Quarter past the hour. Quarter past 5. This is again num to string hour 30. And we say half past num to string of the hour. And finally 45 string of quarter 2. This one is also uses hour. In this instance, you would have actually changed hour to the correct value. These could also be just past. Could actually just be direction here. You could add that. I kind of like the join with this. Kind of like this better. This quarter quarter with direction. You join these things. Separator collection. Yeah, I could still. Whoops. Kind of prefer this approach. Creates a sequence just to feed it into the join, but at least we get a separator in there. So we would say this would be half. I'm not in, yeah, these cases are kind of so specific, so special that I think I'll leave them as they are. This is o'clock, quarter to, quarter past, quarter to, and then this is half past. And then otherwise, is a default here. Does this handle the default? That's my question. Oh, so no clauses, you could just have a default expression at the bottom, okay. And this default, we'll just put in here default. Oh, we don't have to say that. Otherwise, well, I kind of would prefer to have that comment. We can say a join. And I guess we'll remove this then. Oh, we kind of wanted to throw that in there, but it's not that important. Instead of quarter, it's going to be num to string. Let's give you the number of minutes. Let's actually, I kind of want to put this on 2 lines. Yeah, it's okay. It's another kind of stylistic thing to put the arguments on sort of indented lines. So we have num to string of minutes, right? And then we have plural minutes, and then we have the direction, and then we've got num to string of the hour, and that ought to do it. And this can also be on an indented line, or indented, whatever you want to call it. Series of lines. Alright, now, at the end of all that, we have ret, and that should do it. Took us a while, but we got there. Or, well, we're not there yet. Not out of the woods yet. Undoubtedly, I made some mistakes somewhere here. Oh, wrong answer. Output. Oh, because I quoted the... Oh, that's why, of course. That's my mistake. Can I not make that a sequence? That was a mistake. No. Shucks. Null pointer exception. So tell me where. I think I know where. 13. What? Or is it 37? No. There's a null pointer exception. Where did that happen? Why did that happen? Might be better to use one of these, a vector. I think maybe that's just better. Not really sure what happens if we don't use a vector. I made a mistake. See what happens if we do this. I have this sneaking suspicion that this is where our no pointer exception is coming from. I don't know with certainty, but it's possible. Runtime exception on match delimiter. Nice. Oh. Okay. Got it. Okay. Wrong. Minutes 2. Excuse me. Hmm. 5:47. So this should be 47. Right here we return. Oh, that's why. Because this is not. This just doesn't work. Nah. Okay. I think I understand. Yeah, quoted, not quoted is. Got it. Yeah, destructuring that we did just didn't work without. Yeah. Okay. Cannot really easily create sequences. See how we do. I don't feel like thinking about it more. I may have missed something. It's more than likely I missed something important. Yeah. More likely than not. Oh, really? 9 they put? Okay, well, how am I supposed to know that? What? What? Excuse me? I guess they don't, for whatever reason, they don't have this. I even said that. I was like, I don't know. I looked it up before. I don't know if they need spaces in between these or not. There's no way there was actually no way of knowing if they have a hyphen or not. So I had to guess. Nice, there we go. That's pretty straightforward. I think we did this in much more reasonable time than the other medium problems. One incorrect submission, but that's fine. So yeah, there you go. That's how I would do this in Clojure. I don't know if this is idiomatic. I'm not really sure, but this looks kind of clean. I mean, it's got a lot of pieces and it's kind of long, but I definitely prefer sort of this style in terms of readability than like sort of the highly compact style of Clojure that I see elsewhere. This is also kind of imperative though. This thing that I'm doing with the destructuring and defining variables as we go. It's somewhat imperative. It's still immutable, so it's still. Could it be rewritten as strictly functional? I don't know if this counts as functional anymore. It kind of is. I don't know what it is actually. When you call a whole bunch of functions and just return a single value at the end. I actually don't know what to call this. Think of this. Make of this. Well, this is a kind of a self-contained function, certainly. Num to string, it's just a map. And then hour, minutes, direction. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of hard to not be, it's kind of hard to do otherwise. Defines a bunch of variables which are used later. I don't know. Yeah, I get this isn't a function anymore because of the state that's required. It requires knowledge of these other variables. Right, this hour and minutes, these two variables. Technically, you could write a function called ret. Like these all could be functions, and instead of these variables being sort of variables already internal to the let, they would be variables that are passed to ret. Maybe that's the way to look at it. Similarly, plural minutes would take this minutes variable. This would be a function. And then this would be, I guess, a tuple that's returned from a function that also has this h and m as variables. Arguments, rather. Parameters. Arguments that you pass and parameters that are used. This I think we could leave though, this is fine. So you could define each of these as functions, and then you would call the function. When you need hour would be an argument. Which functions would you call for like plural minutes? Call that function. This direction, you could destructure a call to this guy to get hour, minutes, direction. So then these would be, but these could just be variables. Actually, they're passed right in. So you'd make a destructuring call when you want to call this function, and then you would you pass this tuple, destructure it, and as arguments to this. Same thing, plural minutes would just be an argument to this. So all of these, the results of these function calls would just be arguments that you'd call those functions before calling this one. Something like that. You could make this relatively easy, this imperative thing, you could make it functional with relative ease. But yeah, if these are kind of like functions, these become not really functional anymore, for the reason of these pieces in between are like sort of state that's being maintained within this binding, and so then the results of each of these become dependent on that state, sort of external. So I would say this is not really idiomatic anymore. I would argue that. I think what you do, to make it idiomatic, you would write like functions for these pieces, and then these become the returns of the functions, and then when you need those, like all those things that get returned, those become inputs to this function. And then when you actually want to use this function, you call these ones first and use their return values as inputs to this function. Yeah, and then this is always just this doesn't really matter. You could even, yeah, give this like a name this like return function, and then ret would just be the result of the call of the return function. Seems kind of redundant though, like kind of unnecessary. But I think in theory you could actually change this imperative stuff into strictly functional, which probably should be done if the program gets kind of complicated. This is kind of an imperative style anyway that I'm doing. The way that I'm doing this, maybe should be converted to. I should try practicing with just like strictly functional, even within when you're using a let. Because you kind of always need to use something that looks like this while programming. Very interesting. Very interesting. So anyway, yeah, that's my take on that problem. That was the 7th problem, so we got 2 more mediums we'll do. I think tomorrow we'll pick up where we left off. Thank you for hanging out, watching. Those of you who stopped by and said hello, I do appreciate it. I'll talk to you all soon, and have a good rest of your night, good rest of your day. Take care.